much, my dear brother who recognized that we were first brothers before this official meeting. And before this meeting, if you were here, I said it's going to be both official and unofficial. But for the sake of records, I'm going to address you properly, Dr. Omoni Ibieton, for a distinguished fellow of the Institute, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us. Let's recognize him in that respect, please. Yes, I received it. Thank you very well. So now we will have to, I'm glad that this executive has started on a good note. Before the week runs out, the president would have got the report of this meeting. And then I'm also happy that he's here with us. Although he may not be addressing a number of issues, the chapter will aggregate the opinions that are put forward today and then write an official report to Mr. President for his consideration, approval, or otherwise. So thank you very much for that wonderful observation. I learned Adiza's hand is up. Oh, fellow. fellow, distinguished fellow. Adiza. Okay, let's have the next observation. They said today is something she's celebrating. We'll mention it at the right time. So we'll leave that aside. Let's have the next comment, please. So with that, I think we are good. Like I said earlier, we're going to make official report on that. But before I conclude, I want to thank the local organizing committee from the FCT for a very excellent job. And then I want to very particularly thank those donors. We called them some 2 days to the event, and they rose up to the occasion. I want to particularly thank somebody I called a few hours to the takeoff, and he asked, Mr. Chairman, what do you want from me in this regard? Whatever you can do, whatever you can do. I was expecting 100,000 to 200,000. He dropped a 500,000 naira to this project. He said he wouldn't want to be mentioned, but let's clap for him in absentia. That is the spirit. So will be more of a bigger success. And I want to equally identify very strongly with those that traveled by road. Terrain, they overcame, and then it was exciting at the end of the day. So Akwa Ibom, here we come. We are going to have more than one bus. Inconveniences you took just to go and represent the chapter. And finally, I want to commend all of us that attended. I was extremely proud to have come from this chapter when the delegation that left FCT and was showcased on live television at Abeokuta was second to none. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. Thank you very much. We shall continue to be proud of the FCT chapter. With that, we have come to the end of that report. The next one is on spokesperson summit. We want to call, okay, he's not here. I want to very quickly report on that. It was a maiden edition of that event, and the concept is simple. We have engaged in violent communications for long, and in the past 2-3 years, the Institute organized a program called Citizen Summit, led by Dr. Iken Eliaku, the then chairman, national chairman of the organizing committee. Part of the outcomes was the identification of violent communication. And then coming to the council as the president, he also made that a very frontline item. What did we do? We organized and planned a spokesperson summit The objective was simple: national televisions, the independent Africa Independent Television (AIT) and Nigerian Television Authority (NTA). All of them carried it live. And more importantly, it was extremely successful. I have never attended an event that you take your breakfast at 6 p.m. But because of the richness of the program, content-wise, people could not leave, and you take your breakfast at 6 p.m. and then pack your lunch and dinner home. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to remain grateful to the president of the institute. Particularly, he gave one slot each for every chapter. Chairman. That was done, but coming to FCT where he had slots. So with Strop and a very distinguished fellow of the institute, the world will also see it. I want to, on behalf of the executive committee and the entire chapter, thank very profoundly Mr. President for the vision and, more importantly, giving us 3 slots that have given us the opportunity of 3 scholarships from our chapter. Thank you very much. If there is any reaction to this report, we'll just take 1 or 2. Then we'll come to the keynote speaker to address us for today's event. Okay, there are no hands up. It means that I reported exactly what happened. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. Thank you. With that, we have come to the end of this official aspect of it. We now go into what we call professional platform. At this point is the point we learn the public relations skills. But because of what we are celebrating today, we have gone a bit notch higher to get somebody who is going to be addressing us today. And then the topic has also tilted towards the people we are celebrating today. So you are going to be hearing more of women issues, but of course there's going to be public relations perspectives to issues. After that, we now take remarks from the guest of honor, who is also going to be addressing us on the topic of women in leadership, challenges and prospects. Dr. Tokwe Ojeme, if you're in the house, please come and introduce the keynote speaker, and she takes it from there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our people's president, the president with a PR in front of it, please recognize and put your hands together for the people's president. Very distinguished council members dotting parts of this room, and we're privileged to have a council member on the executive team. Very, very distinguished fellows of the institute, and especially of this chapter. I also recognize all newly inducted fellows and very, very distinguished professional colleagues dotting parts of this room. As you have heard, the keynote speaker, our professional platform speaker for today, is a very distinguished woman par excellence. She's a woman known, not this, the other one. She's a woman known for impeccable character, known for ruggedness, known for standing on what she believes, and particularly known for love of country, love of Nigeria. If you have 2 hands. Very, very distinguished members of the Institute, permit me to say that in the list of women we have in our country, especially those who stand out on national issues, our speaker today makes top on that list. And that's why we're privileged that we have her here today. I go through her profile very briefly. She comes from the Department of Political Science, University of Jos, Nigeria, former country director of Action Aid Nigeria, and a former convener of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room. And that explains the hug she specially gave to our distinguished fellow Not for Smiles. She comes with more than 30 years experience in development work from diverse backgrounds, including the labor movement. She has worked in 15 countries, building capacity of non-governmental organizations, governments, and private institutions across Africa, Asia, and parts of the world, leading various action aid projects across the world. She worked with the Nigerian Labour Congress as Assistant General Secretary between 1992 and 1996. She also served in various capacities with USAID projects for over 10 years. An educationist, a political scientist, and at this point, may I request that she stands just by the podium so you can see before I call her name. Here comes a passionate, committed woman, committed to social justice and human rights struggles, women and girls' rights, persons with disability rights, gender transparency, accountability, social mobilization, economic literacy, political empowerment, democracy, and governance. And I dare say that she has also stood for men's rights, because I've seen her do that frequently. She's a graduate of English education, holds master's degree in political science and another master's degree in international law and diplomacy. Currently undergoing her PhD in political economy and development studies. A member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Popular Theatre Alliance. And soon, I'm sure she will become a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, having had the privilege to sit next to the People's President. Chair of 2 NGO boards, Youth Empowerment Solutions, Africado Foundation, and a member of the Board of Women Politics Forum. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, help me recognize with a round of applause Miss Ene Obi as she takes us through the keynote for today.
Thank you, Mr. President, the chair of the FCT chapter, fellow compatriots, good evening. Let me stand on existing protocols. I've seen some familiar faces here, some faces I have not seen, but it's a great pleasure for me to be here. I don't know how I'm worthy to be the one to stand before you, very eminent citizens of our country, and how you counted me that I could say something that will make a meaning. But especially, I want to congratulate the president himself on the recently concluded conference. We all watched it in Abeokuta, and congratulations for the beginning of a lot of things to happen in this professional area. Yes, I've been called, and I want to congratulate the chapter too, because when you see, a lot of people think that women should be celebrated on the month or even on the day, which is March 8th, but we call March the month of women. And when you see another time coming and you say, no, wait and let's recognize. Muchi, you're here. And you say, let's recognize women. And it comes to the celebration. And I'll come down to say, let's identify and even see who is a woman. So that when you are talking of women's rights, whose rights are you really talking about? Is it women's rights or is it humanity rights? And so for this, the theme of this year is invest in women. Count her in. Invest in women to accelerate progress. And I'll take it very quickly, distinguished personalities here present. I want to say that for you to bring this subject, it means you are an advocate of gender equality. And gender equality does not mean the same treatment. Gender equality does not mean we are equal, or we are the same. But when you are talking of gender, we want to begin the chapter by saying who is in the gender. Male and female. Who are those male and female? Boys and girls, women and men, who are they? And so when you say count her in, it means she's been out. Is she really out? Because of the patriarchal nature of our own system, it means she's been out. Was she really out, or she's in and not seen? Is she an unseen person that is in herself? And so when you say count her in, it means you are recognizing that there is something that needs to be done that is not being done. And so when we say invest in her, count her in, invest in women to accelerate progress. I'll bring it home. It is imperative to recollect on the progresses that we have made and the challenges that persist in achieving gender equality in Nigeria. As we are talking, we are holding this conference within the last election that held in 2023. In 14 houses of assembly, which is a whole state, a whole assembly in 14 states, there is not a single woman. Not a single woman in all of those states. And you have to discuss issues that leads to their survival in that environment. And so you will have 14 women committees in a house of assembly. And it's manned by a man. And it's chaired by a man. The membership is men. How are you going to discuss anything that concerns women? And so, who will understand that? What have you left out really? We are saying invest in her, count her in, so that you are able to make decisions, because when decisions are made, the quality of any decision depends on who is in the boardroom. So if you are not in the room and decisions are taken, your voice is not there. It's like the elections that we hold. If the votes are counting, everybody's vote that counts, it means your voice has gone into the votes. And so for those 14 houses of assembly, there is not a single woman. In about 7 states, you also have only one woman. And when you have one woman, in a place where you have 25 members, maybe 26, one woman, it means they are already woman. Before she says anything, a lot of people will tell her to sit down. She has to have the guts to be able to stand up and speak in the midst, because her gender is already disenfranchised. And then we move from the state, we go to the National Assembly. In the House of Representatives, we have 360 persons there. But we have 15. I think has it gone to 16 or it has gone down? Because it now depends on who wins cases in the court. My sister from INEC is here. But instead of INEC declaring those who win, it is the court that is declaring the winners. I think that is what is happening, because the result of the election can change depending on whether they win the cases in the court or not. And so the population we have now is about 15 women in a 360, and you are going to have a lot of committees. In the Senate, we have 108, and you have four women. 409. And we have 4 women. We had 3, but one won a case, and then we now have 4 women. 4 out of 109. I just want to refresh on that, because you say count her in. You say count her in, and let's have some inspirational experiences. The campaign is inspire inclusion. And that is very, very important, to bring the barriers, to look at the barriers. What are the experiences of these women? What are the experiences of the women who are members of the Nigerian Institute for Public Relations. How have they come? I'm sure that every woman who is seated on a table here, her experience will be a book on how she has come this far. And so, I can share an experience of a woman who transformed herself in terms of investment. We are now looking at the rural woman, one particular woman that I met in Ijero Ekiti, in Ekiti State. She had a privilege, of being so resilient, looking at the societal norms and overcoming numerous, obstacles to establish a thriving business in agriculture. With a limited access to resources, the woman was able to, embrace participation in women's empowerment program. She improved her trading, access to finance, and mentorship support as well. Through this sheer determination of this woman, she was able to put so many of her children through school. I'm sure that if we go one by one, some of the men here will tell us that it is their mother who brought them up. It is their mother who raised them up. But while raising them up, the children that the mother had were both male and female. And so she's not worried that it is not so, it's not her right, but the right of the humans that the woman presided over. And that's why when we say women's rights are human rights, a lot of people will look at it and say, what are you talking about? One of my colleagues told me, he shared his story, that his father walked out of their lives. When with 4 children, the mother with 4 children, the man walked out and left them and never looked back. But today, all of them, none has less than a master's degree, and they are all thriving. So that woman handled human rights, not women's rights. So when we say women's rights are human rights, we would like to take it from there. And so what is hitting Nigerian women, when I talked about representation that we are talking about, is if you are not in a decision-making environment, it means all the decisions will be made on your behalf. There was an example by a doctor who were in the church and they said the lay people should explain something. And this medical doctor came up and said, I have an experience. I think the person who wrote the labor book, that is the labor process. You know, there is this book here on labor that all pregnant women will read. If you have not been pregnant before, you read and you look at the stages of what you are going to feel once you start feeling labor. She is a doctor that has delivered so many women, but she has never had a baby. And so this time she was pregnant. And he came. She said she dressed nicely, obeyed the books, and went and sat on the bed. She's going to have a baby today and preparing. When real labor started, the first thing was her overcoat. She threw it away. The other, everything she was doing, they said, doctor, you are a doctor. He said, don't doctor me. The person who wrote the book for labor must be a man. Because the kind of pain you feel during labor was not what was described. So she could feel it. What that means is that he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. You can't describe, a man cannot describe what it is to be in labor. Many of the men that will go to labor ward, they faint. Because you can't experience, you can't imagine even your wife going through that pain. But then the process of bringing life out means that you have to experience that for you to welcome that life. Is that human right or is that a woman's right? I want to bring it down because as we're all here, all of us are adults, and I want to bring us down just to break it a little bit. For the woman, for the female, who is a female in your life? And I'm asking this question to both male and female. Who is the female in your life? Many of you will say mother, because every man too have a mother, isn't it? We all have mothers. And so you have your sister, you have your grandmother, you have your auntie, you have your doctors and so on. A host of other women in your life. And then you have your daughters. You have your nieces, your beautiful nieces. We are, celebrating this International Women's Day at a time when Chibok girls is now 10 years over, and some of the daughters are not home. But we need to move the reality of how endangered, the Nigerian girl or the Nigerian woman has come. And so, somebody can come from somewhere, anywhere, and get how many women away? They took about 300, in Zamfara, about 300. When they brought the girls back, about half of them were pregnant. Can you imagine being a parent of those girls? What are you going to do with the pregnancy? Of course, some people, because of religion, they are going to have the baby. But what are you going to do with that baby because you don't know what to do? Are we together? Many of the Chibok girls, before they came back, some of them had 2 children. If you are their parents. So, an endangered, when I was growing up, I grew up in an environment where the beauty of the African girl was seen. The African girl was prepared. Every mother targets the day that her daughter will get married and will lead her to her wedding night. That was Africa with the dignity of humanhood. You lead your daughter. But what is happening to our girls now? I want you to know that you may be hearing me, but the responsibility of the Nigerian woman and the dignity of the African child, because it's not just the Nigerian woman now, not even in just protecting the child. All the children that we don't know their fathers, they are Nigerian children. Where is the dignity when you don't know who your father is? Many of these girls have the children and they throw the children away, but they are growing on the streets. That's the volume. I want to take it there. Then I'll move to another circle. To be a woman. What it is to be a woman. If you really want to appreciate the woman, I need you to hear. For the girls, these days, girls from the age of 10, they start seeing their menstruation. And they see, and so from the age of 10 or thereabout, 5 days in a month, they are going to see free blood. Blood is life, so I'm happy to talk about it. You may not feel good about it. Accidents happen. What leads to death is not because of the accident. It's because the blood is gone. The doctors here will explain that. It's because blood finished from the body. So if it's 10 years, for example, it means for 60 days in the 5 days in a month is what? Times 12. That's 60, isn't it? So if it is 10 years, that's 600 years, isn't it? And then if it is 20 years, that's 1,200. If it is 30 years, because women have menstruation more than that, it means it's 1,800 days of free flow of blood where a woman will not know what to do. But to find a way to make sure that she keeps her neatness. So all the women in your life, they move around. They were in school with you, in primary school, in secondary school, in the university. They go to work with you, and you don't even know what is happening to them. And they are delivering on the job that you are giving them. You don't want to hear any excuses from them. And when they are having this, I can tell you that women are different from one another. Each and every one of them, some of them, the kind of cramps they get to feel, they roll on the ground. For those days, maybe your friends will keep it from you, but you have to know that your wife is going through this. The only time that she does not suffer that is when she's pregnant. I just want to bring us to here for you to understand the uniqueness of a woman. When therefore, because of their role in reproduction, when we don't have public facilities, because in Nigeria today, we are in the last 5 in the world, in terms of maternal mortality, any woman around you that is pregnant, be worried, because she's on a maternity death road. We don't know if she will survive. It doesn't even save, those who are educated. I know Bonji here will explain. A number of us, a lot of people go through the lifeline when that is happening. I just want to bring it down to say that as we look at International Women's Day, that we are celebrating International Women's Day, we are trying to celebrate humanity. Because women's rights are human rights. And so, Nigeria, when you talk about investment, and I talk of a life story, when I was growing up in the northern Nigeria at that time, they don't believe in the girl-child education. Because you are going to be married and your husband will take care of you. And so they never believed. So some of us had to struggle. I used to beat my older brother in school beating him in mathematics and everything, but he was preferred to go to school and not me. And so that's the struggle. But after you have gone through all of the experiences that you have, you also come down, and then when it is time for people to take decisions, you say women are not included because of women are not included because they don't have space or so on and so forth. I just want to remind ourselves that in development, if you are looking at people and you say you are not seeing them, you are cheating. We need to remove the self from everything we do, because Nigeria is going down. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria is not the same the way we are. And we are sitting on a time bomb because of the kind of conflict that is going on lack of employment. So many girls, that's one of the strange things that I'm looking at. Do you know that so many girls will not get married? In this generation, where are the guys to marry them? Many of them are not employed. We have qualified bachelors without employment. Will you marry out your child to anybody who is not working? Or you will marry and then you are the one to give them food to feed so that they give you grandchildren. We need to build a world where our children can live a life, because what we have done, and that's why I talk to the politicians, the looting of the threshold, the looting of the economy is not going to help us. They are building, burglary proofs around them. And burglary proofs is not going to, you can't build burglary proof on air because you are not the owner of air. In another 50 years, most of us here will be skeletons. And so we need to look at that. And I want to touch briefly, therefore, which I have started before, on gender-based violence. There is a lot of violence in the workplace, in so many places. And so I want to urge the president to look at the issue of sexual harassment, sexual exploitation and harassment. Whether the organizations we work with, whether they have policies. Because even in the workplace, it's not safe for a woman. And I want to also tell the women who are here to hear the sound of this. We are on the same trade. Are you raising the next generation? Are you mentoring the next woman who will occupy all the cheating or whatever it is? All men are women's children. All women are also men's children. We acknowledge the men in our lives. And I'll tell you a story of the fox and the fox and the crane. The fox and the crane are two good friends, and they want to have dinner in the fox's house. Because the fox has a wide nose, he served the food on the same dish, on the same flat dish. The crane with a beak could not eat it. And so the fox ate. And when the fox went to crane's house, he served it on a vase. And the fox could not eat it. So the issue of the intervention, the barriers that inhibit women's production, is about identifying the right intervention. You can't do the same treatment. If you don't have, sanitation environment where you have offices or where you have schools, the person who will be cheated is women. So I want to congratulate you on this day. I want to also say that for you to count her in, you need to be aware. Are you aware of the woman? Is she really in your own environment? So I want to leave you with some of the questions to say that you need to be, are you aware that there is a woman around you? Who is a woman for real? Who is a woman for you? You look at when a child is born. That child is born is widely celebrated. In Yoruba land, you hear serious Owambe. In Hausa, you see a lot of, the sooner you do a lot of things, celebrations about the child. When a daughter is born, it goes through that, go through primary school, go through secondary school, to the university, and one day, you as a man, you take your parents, you knock on the door. You say, I want your daughter. I want your daughter. I want a wife. And she gives you that wife. That's somebody's princess you have taken. And you take that princess to your house. Because when a woman leaves her house, she's alone. She has been left behind by her family. If she's not accepted in that family, she's alone. How do you protect her? Many of you here are the sisters-in-laws. You are the mother-in-laws. How do you treat another person's princess? When your princess is going out, you acknowledge it. When you, as a man, you like that your princess, that's your daughter. How do you treat somebody's daughter in your own home? And so when you want to count her in, when we talk about being present, the kind of crisis we are having right now, in the discussion in terms of negotiating peace, you don't find women. In the government today, the government has no respect for women at all. I can tell you that. Because even when it's not an appointed, when it's an appointed position, are you telling us that we're not millions? Millions who are, who are doctors and engineers, and you can't find them to appoint. And so it's not only in the elective position, but we need a lot of building in terms of women agencies to be able to come to a conclusion, a lot of capacity building to let women know who they are, how they need to vote for the other women, how the structure is empowering, and we need to pay attention to the education of the girl child. In the where husband comes from, or okay, where I come from, my other side comes from. In Anambra, we are looking at the education of the girl child. Because many boys won't go to school, they would then go on and marry the PhD holders, and the home is dysfunctional. And so there is a lot that is going on in our society. What we are saying is not the same treatment. Nigeria is wounded. The burden bearers in the IDPs today are women. There are so many women that their husbands were slaughtered in front of them, or their children. And our young people in Nigeria, they are going down. We have our children, because for me, when they said 100 people have been killed, either by the insurgents or by whoever, what I think about is that 100 umbilical cords have been cut. The blood of a woman, a child of a woman is being taken. We are killing our children because we lack planning, dedication, commitment. This country is one of the greatest countries in the world. We have enough resources. Stop thinking about your children and think about Nigerian children, because this Nigeria will live even after you. Your children, it will not, I said, if you can, many, protect the few that you are putting behind the barricades. Even proof vehicles will not save you from the angry Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Please put your hands together. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please give her another round of applause. Thank you very much, ma. Very distinguished professional colleagues. We'll take some responses, but just before then, as a professional institute, the chairman has bid me to let you know that to ensure balance in the discussion of today, we have also brought a leading woman chief executive as our special guest of honor. She will have the first right to make a remark. I'll tell you about her in a bit. But just before I do that, let me introduce one who just joined us, a woman, a he for she advocate, if I'll be right to say. I was in a function somewhere where somebody said, he looks like a woman, but he sounds like a man. He's not Bob Jake anyways. He's Dr. Jake Epele, honorary fellow of the Institute. Please give him an honorary round of applause. At the appropriate time, Mr. Chair will invite him. At this point, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite to the podium our special guests of honor, Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, a woman who has broken barriers through a large collection of men and has risen to the top. Trained as a legal practitioner, holds a Bachelor of Law degree from Birmingham City University, from where she proceeded to the Nigerian Law School and was subsequently called to bar. She is a woman known for dedication to duty, firmness in her job. She had worked in various places and has received prestigious awards, including the prestigious Presidential Award for Productivity in Nigeria. That's the point where you should clap in the script. Well, that's because I was taught by the legendary Mojima Kojola, who is also here. Please, a round of applause for her. And let me also quickly recognize very, very distinguished Executive Director News. He is also here. Please give him a round of applause. And very distinguished members of the media, very senior ones who are here with us. As I move on in the script, that's what we call an interlude. And now continue with the original script. The CEO I'm talking about is a woman, don't forget. She's also a woman who has worked as manager at different levels at Port Harcourt. She worked at other places and rose through the ranks until she got to where she is today. Please help me recognize specially, as I request she comes to the podium, the Managing Director, Chief Executive of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund. And this fund takes care of both men and women. I'm sure she would confirm. Barrister Maureen Alagwa. A round of applause for her, please. You're welcome.
Just before she takes over the podium, Dr. Tokbe, thank you very much. In your interlude, you forgot a very important personality who is sitting very closely to the right of Mr. President. No other than the Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria, Mr. Muhammad Ali Ali. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate. Okay, madam, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. President of the NIPR, Chairman of the FCT chapter, executive members, fellows of the NIPR, council members, other members, ladies and gentlemen. Before I go into my presentation, I really want to appreciate the first speaker for a very wonderful presentation. It was absolutely out of this world. And of course, we're able to identify with a lot of the things that she mentioned. Madam, thank you so much. It is indeed my pleasure to have been invited to come and present on this day being Workers' Day on a very important topic, which is women in leadership, challenges and prospects. A discourse that offers the opportunity to deepen and expand the conversation on the very important issue of women in leadership. To put it succinctly, in context, women in leadership in Nigeria. I would like to begin by stating the fact that over time, Nigerian women and their substantial role in leadership, policy making and nation building have often been a subject of public debate. This is due to the obvious imbalance in the number of women in elective and appointed positions, just like our first speaker said, of leadership in the country in comparison to their men. The above perception or record notwithstanding, there are still a very good number of notable, thoroughbred Nigerian women holding their own and blazing trail in leadership positions at various levels, both in the public and private sectors, within and outside the shores of this country. Despite the odds and challenges, Nigerian women have continued to strive for and achieve excellence, making remarkable contributions as leaders and captains of industry, celebrated locally and on the global stage. However, being a woman in a leadership position does come with some challenges. First and foremost, we need to appreciate the fact that the challenges of leadership cuts across all gender. It can be daunting but not unsurmountable. However, there are issues that tend to pose peculiar challenge for women in leadership. In this presentation, I'll be highlighting in practical terms some issues as briefly as possible that women in leadership should averse their minds, stemming from my experience since assumption of office as the first female Managing Director, CEO of Nigeria's Social Insurance Trust Fund. By the way, it may interest you to know that the NSITF has been in existence since 1960, over 60 years. The first point readily to mind is the balancing of roles. This relates to the exploration of women's life spaces, their unique identity and roles, which significantly take a new dimension when they assume leadership. When women assume leadership roles, climb the corporate ladder, and are involved in the decision-making process of organizations, the socio-cultural context in which they operate presents dynamics that they need to study and begin to adapt at home, at work, and social settings. In other words, various socio-cultural contexts present unique challenges which vary from one place to the other and even in degree were the same. In organizational and business contexts, when women rise up the corporate ladder and take higher responsibilities as heads of institutions, agencies, and business enterprises, they encounter issues pertaining to handling of power, exercising authority, providing directions and strategic initiatives, participating in policy formation, and interfacing with external parties as their roles may demand, coupled with the need to interface and engage with stakeholders, superiors, colleagues, and subordinates to achieve the business goals. Another major challenge is intrinsic burden to succeed and to prove that they have earned their place in the positions they occupy as leaders. This is one factor that puts a lot of pressure on women in position of leadership. The question is, can a woman in leadership cope, balance the roles, the role expectations, and succeed without losing herself in the process? My answer is an unequivocal yes, that we can. Closely related to the above is the ever-changing paradigm of the definition of success. Success sometimes is measured in terms of polarities. The label success or failure has impact on self-definition or self-fulfillment. Definition of success is more difficult for women in leadership due to the feeling of being in competition, not just with men, but with fellow women, women that are even supposed to come behind them and support and promote their fellow women. Healthy competition is great for internalized goals and inspiration for improvement. However, it becomes destructive when it's compared with internal fears and self-denunciation. To overcome this, women should be willing to set high goals, medium and low target goals. So success is not when you bring down the skies, and also identify and define definite parameters to assess success and track progress independently and dependently, share ideas, build synergy, even take risks, acquire new skills, forge new relationships, share feelings, accept constructive criticisms, build personal resilience and confidence. Thirdly, a pitfall that women should watch out for is the perception of women in leadership by colleagues at the workplace. If a woman as a leader presents herself as accommodating and mild, she's exploited and described as ineffective. If she's assertive, she's perceived as aggressive and arrogant. Therefore, as a leader, a woman should be assertive and accommodating at the same time and as the occasion demands. Excessive assertiveness may make a leader become insensitive, lose empathy, and have defensive attitude which may impede her success. To overcome this, a woman should also know what position to adopt, depending on the context and circumstance. There are many prospects for women in leadership. In today's rapidly evolving world, the presence of women in leadership roles is not just desirable, but imperative. Women bring unique perspectives, innovative ideas, and empathic approaches to leadership, fostering diverse and inclusive environments. Despite facing systemic obstacles, women continue to rise, shattering glass ceilings across industries. Recognizing the value of women in leadership isn't just a matter of fairness, it's a strategic imperative for organizations and societies alike. Embracing and nurturing female leadership not only unlocks untapped talent, but also fosters innovation and drives sustainable progress. For every woman in leadership or aspiring to be in position of leadership, the first attributes to have are vision and passion for leadership. The reason is that successful leadership emerges from vision pursued with passion. The two key words, vision and passion, are the hallmark of leadership. Hardly can we identify a great leader, irrespective of gender, that has made remarkable impact in any field of endeavor without vision and passion for leadership. If the idea of leadership for a woman is just to bear the positional title, do the normal and earn the benefits, with no drive, no passion, no vision for the organization to move from point A to B in the positive direction, then leadership is not the call for such a woman. Women, by their unique nature, are gifted with skills that can be harnessed and become effective leaders, i.e. the ability to groom and understand the emotional and social needs of others, help in building consensus and trust. Lastly, women in leadership must learn how to balance the conflicting demands of home and work to avoid being overstretched and over-engaged. This can result in a woman losing herself with no sense of fulfillment at the end of the day. Women aspiring for leadership or in leadership are to identify what their inner motivation and strengths are. The drive comes from within and is only exhibited by the outward behavior. Where there is lacking, little or no positive impact can be made. On this note, I want to salute the bravery of every woman in whatever capacity of leadership and encourage you not to relent, but to continue the good work. We may not have reached the zenith yet, but we are certainly not where we used to be. The future is bright, the coast is clear, we can achieve more and be part of our nation building. Finally, as my constituency, I would like to use this opportunity to invite all organizations and business represented here to key into the NSITF Employee Compensation Scheme as a backup protection for your workforce, for your team, in case of unforeseen eventuality of accident, injury, or disability. The benefits are enormous, ranging from compensations for disabilities, payment of medical bills, and so much more. Thank you for this opportunity, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you. At this point, I would hand over respectfully to the chairman of the FCT chapter, Mr. Stanley Ogadigo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tokbe. Still be around with the mic because we are going to go into the audience segment aspect of it. But before then, let's quickly recognize distinguished fellow Charles Obinwa. Thank you very much for coming. We also have distinguished fellow Dr. Peter Oyeneye. Thank you very much. We have Hajia Adiza Umar, a distinguished fellow of the Institute and leading the PR department of NITDA. Let's give her a big round of applause. After all, it's Women's Day. So if you clap bigger for her, the better. We also have from the AIT, the General Manager in charge of programs, Joy Namure. Please give her a big round of applause. Elder Emma Okoro is former chairman of the chapter. You are welcome, sir.
You don't
And we have Corps Commander Charles Eden, who is standing in for our distinguished fellow Jonas Agu, who is out of town but has made it a point of duty to send his team here. Let's give him and the representative a big round of applause. We also have a distinguished fellow Yemisi Femi Oyekola in our midst of National Assembly. Let's give her a big round of applause. We also have distinguished fellow Muazu Yusuf is around. Please, let's give him the biggest round of applause. The biggest because this morning he left Lagos for this program. Ordinarily, he's not supposed to be here, but he said there is no way the FCT will be holding this important meeting and he's not around. Let's give him another big round of applause. We also have a distinguished fellow Chinwe Ubuka in the house, retired but not tired, of course, of the INEC. Let's give her a big round of applause. I guess some of you are the ceiling shatterers, because she also rose to the rank of directorate at the INEC before retirement. Let's give her a bigger round of applause. Thank you very much. We keep on recognizing dignitaries that are around. But we just very quickly go into the audience section, which is just going to be like 2-3 minutes. The two voices we have heard, you'll agree with me that everything is complete. The first spoke like a core Nigerian. And then to be sure that we are globally compliant, the second is speaking from the foreign perspective. When you look at her, you see everything abroad. So she's just coming to bring the global touch into the Nigerian system, while the first speaker represents everything about Nigerian women. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's give the two speakers biggest round of applause. Thank you very much. I will now hand over to Dr. Tokpe Ojeme to coordinate this round. 3 minutes. If you have any intervention, contribution, this is the time. Then we wind up at this session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So we move on. If you have any intervention or you want to make contributions, respectfully, just take 3. Please permit me to allow our distinguished CP to be number 1 because you have to police yourself from bed to waking up to afternoon and police yourself till the night, and yet you still need policemen. Number 2 will be my distinguished Egmont there. There is a challenge now. No woman hand up yet. Okay. Okay, yeah, so we have...
the women are aligned totally with the two speakers.
Yes.
So they are waiting for our fire.
They are waiting for the fire. So fellow Ine will be number 3. And the lady over there, who earlier today told me while we're taking pictures that because she's from the military or the security personnel, that she can take care of me, that she will protect me. And my answer to her was, I don't think there's any woman that can protect a man. It's the duty of men to protect the women. In Africa, that's what it is.
You are looking for Mrs. Enobi's problem.
I can understand.
She will attack you.
I can understand. So number 1, please help me welcome our very distinguished fellow Juku, former Commissioner of Police.
Thank you, our distinguished participants and members here. And particularly the two speakers who have given us a lot from their repertoire of knowledge. I do writing, I'm a writer, and I wrote a script, a short story. I passed it to an editor to help me cross the T's and dot the I's. She canceled the entire issue because I was trying to canvass that men should stop discriminating against women who are menstruating. And she said, Ojuku, you don't understand menstruation. You can't write about it. And I dropped the script. And I agree with NLB, who mentioned that men don't understand these issues. And the second speaker also made us to understand that men don't positions in government everywhere. And men don't understand you. I want to please appeal to you on my knees. Please forgive the men for their ignorance. Because somebody said erroneously that silence is the best answer to a fool. It's not true. The best answer to a fool is to educate him. Women have the right to educate the men on what you are going through. And you also need to have men to speak to fellow men about what you are going through. So we're here for you to use us to bring men to help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished fellow Dr. Moni, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. I want to commend fantastic speakers we have had today, the two of them. I do not know the second speaker closely, but she has brought herself forward as one of the leading lights of what we should have in our society. I have a historical connection with NLB, my sister and comrade. If I'm conservative, I know we belong to close to 20 organizations together at the point when it was fire to be an activist in Nigeria. And I'm so happy that she's spoken here the way she used to speak in those days when we were at the barricade fighting for democracy. I need you to clap especially for this woman. So this is the point so that we can optimize the time. I want to make a connection between what Comrade NLB has said and what the CEO of NITF has said.
You may want to bring the mic a bit closer so we can hear you.
To zero in on the consequences of when a man dies and there is a conflict in the issue of inheritance between what the culture says and what the law says. And I hope Comrade NLB and the CEO of NITF will help us to resolve it, since she speaks to social security. There is no need for a man to pass before the wife, leaving behind assets for the woman. And society draws on nebulous culture to deny the woman of the inheritance, and so subject the children to destitute, whereas their breadwinner had left an asset. How do we deal with the conflict that arises in this circumstance? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fellow Peter Oyineye will be number 3. Fellow Peter Oyineye will be number 3. Before we come to you, ma. And you'll be number 5, sir. I'll come to you.
The President, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, the Chairman, FCT Chapter, ladies and gentlemen, you know that in my organization, Advanced Management Academy, we yearly run a conference about women. That's just after the International Women's Day, March 8th. And all we have been saying is that we must understand them more. And if you are going to understand anybody, you have to listen to that person. One thing we must know is that we are not wired the same way. And as public relations people, if accountants will not understand the woman, if the procurement man will not understand the woman, public relations people must understand them, because we talk about two-way communication. All I want to say is that please, let's listen more so that we can understand them. Just turn to the woman sitting next to you. Say, I will listen more to you. No, we are not doing it. Can we do it? Say, I will listen more to you. And when you get home, do the same thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, distinguished fellow. So I can tell you something that happened behind the scene while that was on. Our First Lady quickly tapped Mr. President and said, you need to say that quickly. Mr. President did say it because he has always been listening, but she needed to have a memorabla, and she'll be shocked that my camera caught that action. That's the part of the script where you clap again. Thank you very much. Number 4.
Glad Ngozi Uchehabat is my name. The two speakers made mention of obvious imbalance in elective position for women. Mine is question. Because when you come during election, you have women, also women voters. Why are women not supporting women? Because in some cases, women came out for elective position outside ministerial appointments. Why are women not supporting women? And sometimes still we see a woman in leadership, and you will see even fellow gender, not supporting her to succeed. Please, I need an answer. Thank you.
All right, yeah, I heard that question while the speech was on. Number 5, bring the microphone here. And a lady beside me answered, women don't support women because of men. I don't know how true it is. Number 5, sir.
The President Nipr, chapter ESCO members, fellows, professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. This is part of the script where I tell the story. A man was asked what occupation the wife is involved in. And my wife do not work. She's a housewife. And I want to tell you that being a housewife is an occupation. Being a housewife is an occupation. We had this project we did with an NGO in Kenya where a child did a graphical illustration of the day-to-day activities of the mother. What you may not have captured as formal income, your wife, your partner, spouse, or whatever nomenclature you have decided comfortably under this generation to give to your partner, works, and some are income that you can't pay for. But I'm particularly concerned about safety nets for women. I'm glad the NSITF said this. We have this one solution fits all. Domestic and occupational hazards for women have not been properly captured. I had the opportunity of having a staff who leaves her house as early as 4 a.m. because she was our office assistant on a bike. If some of you understand Lagos quite well, moving between Ikotun to Ikeja, and she got knocked off. And I knew what I went through. I must thank NSCITF, your Maryland office responded for workplace compensation. But the policies we create to protect women in terms of safety net, it's the same for men. And sometimes considerations are not given that role being played by persons differ. So I think you need to revisit safety nets for both domestic and workplace hazards. That's my concern. And I needed to raise it that the chief executive of NSITF is here. That you revisit that. Whatever form of compensation that is given should not be the same. And the solution is not one that fits all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, Elder Okoro.
My great president, Ike Neli Ako. Because our people don't mention it properly. I have to mention it so he knows I know him from Adam. And my chairman, I told you that God has ordained it, that you're going to make this NIPR move beyond the boundaries. You're doing so. For the last 6 years, I've not seen my friend Epele. He's been touring around the world, bringing new issues to the world. And when NLB, who appears on my TV network, talked about women not being equal, and if you look around the executive table, the NLP has brought 8 names for 8 years. And we've brought another 8 names for another 8 years. And Habali. If you look at what the NIPR is doing, key men who believe in competence, they are on the saddle. And I know that in the next 1 year or 2, the country will begin to know that competent men and women have come to the table to harness our resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give him another round of applause.
Okay, before Dr. Tokwe, before we continue, I think we are doing very well. The program is changing slightly. The procedure will be the MD NAN, if you have agreed with him to make a comment, then after that, we have, but before then, let's have the reactions from the two presenters very briefly. Then you call on MD NAN. After that, the president. Then after president's remark, you now call our distinguished and solid member, Mojima Konjola, for a vote of thanks for our guests. But before you continue, let me very quickly recognize the Executive Director News NTA, Mr. Ayo Adewoyi. Thank you very much for coming. We also have our dear mother in the house, Mojima Konjola. Thank you very much for coming. MFR, thank you very much for coming. Is there another person? Okay, no. Princess Fapohonda Tiwalade, Mrs. Distinguished Fellow of the Institute. Please, let's give her a bigger round of applause. She was one of the first that came in, and then we're just recognizing her now. I want to also put on record that she is a very frequent attendee of all our programs. Let's give her another round of applause. Grace Zamani was recognized earlier. Yes. Distinguished fellow, freshly minted in that, and former director in the FCD. So,
thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We now invite to the microphone Mrs. NLB for a very brief remark, and afterwards we'll take our special guest of honor. Please welcome our keynote speaker once again. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I think the question of when women lose their husbands, I will leave the protection to my sister to tackle. But one thing that I will say there is that we need to educate the girl child. The power of all of it is that the girl child be powerfully educated so that she can have choices. Because gone are the days where you think your wife doesn't need to work. Because today you have a job, the following day you don't have a job. In fact, in a normal situation, women now become the leaders of the home. And even when they become a leader of a home, it becomes a trauma. But I had a brother who had a wife and refused the wife to work, to even continue schooling. But one day, he was solid, he was looking after the wife, giving her all she needed. But one day, he was an acting ambassador, in Senegal. One day, death came, and that was how he left. He said, the wife called and see what your brother has done now. Where do I start from here? So you leave the girl child stranded. It's not even in a case of where they are struggling for the things of the husband, but that one. Then when you say women are not voting for women, why are women? We need to look at our structure. Our structure is a patriarchal structure. And I'll give you an example. There was a man, about 20 years ago, he invited me. On a Women's Day like this, he said, come and talk to our women. But because he was the officer responsible, he had to be in the conference. After the conference, he came to me. He said, Ene, I thought I brought you to speak to the women, but you came to speak to me. Because the burden of work my wife carries on is unimaginable. After you spoke, I went home. I asked my wife. In fact, the first thing he did was to go to the kitchen. The wife was cooking. He said, no, go back to, I'll soon finish the food I'll bring to you. He said, you are not bringing it to me. What can I help you do? That was why he started. The next thing he did was the following day, they had 3 boys. He said, from today, I'm going to bath the children. See, what are you doing? Are you taking my work or what? He said, madam, I want to benefit in the love that you share with the children. He started bathing the children. He used to take them to work. He said, to school. And then the woman will do all the food, package everything for them, take the children to school, come and drop the children, and she had her work to do. The man started taking the children to school. In fact, some days the children will say, Daddy, take us, not this one. But it brought a new happiness into the family. Invest in your family. And that's why some mother-in-laws, or sisters-in-laws, they say, you're suffering our brother. What the hell are you talking about? Because when you are doing anything, investment in it, I want to see my children, both the boy and the girl, working together. They are living a life. That's what the investment of love in the family. I want to cite another example. You say women hate women. Some women can do a blanket check like that because of what they have gone through in life. But I was in the university. Niyi alluded to the fact that we're in the trenches. I started my activism from the university, and I wanted to go in for the president of the Students' Union. One of the guy who was contesting for the presidency with me told me, he said, studies have shown that women will not even vote for you. So women will vote for me, men will vote for me. Where will you get your vote? You have to take the opposition very seriously when they talk to you. I went and sat quietly. I said, for real. Okay. I went and opened up my microphone in Babylon Hostel. That's in Araguta Hostel then. And I started talking to the women. I said, do we really hate each other? Hate each other that much that we cannot vote for each other? And I can tell you that at the end of it, there is a conversation. Gender stereotyping is a construct. You can deconstruct it and reconstruct it in a positive way. And so I did that, and at the end of the day, the guy didn't see my brake light. Of course, initially, let me tell you, for all my friends and everybody, my friends told me, if you try to go, we will campaign against you. And their reason was that if you become a Students' Union president, you'll be arrested, you go into detention. So they were trying to save me from it, because a woman is not supposed to go through that, right? But I won the election, and I went to jail, I went to detention. I was kidnapped by the federal government of Nigeria, the military government then, rushed to Abuja by night, taken with guns to, Lagos, as if I did something. I have no regret of doing all of that. What I am saying is that we need to change the patriarchal torture. I don't know how my sister went to become, the secretary to the commission. Because in many cases, they put us in the wing. But she's very dynamic. Women qualify to be in positions because they can take this thing. So that issue is that women, you may see a woman who has hated you or something, but how many of them? And the reason for the women who are here, do you hate one another? Why do you hate? But sometimes you have done some actions like that. And I want to leave us with the fact that this issue of gender-based violence, I want to say, are you a violator of gender-based violence? The men here, are you one of those who are guilty? Can you start turning it around? Because you need to respect the dignity of the woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
By the way, we are now into intergenerational mentorship. And that's why coming here today, I came with one of my mentees. Because we are going to leave the stage. And you need to look for those who are going to occupy the stage when you are gone. So a lot of us now, including Moji, we all have so many young women that we're mentoring now. And I brought one of the young lady, Msendo. She's with me here, and she's a young Nigerian, and I hope she's brighter.
Please mentor a young man too. All right, thank you very much. Please help me welcome Barrister Mrs. Maureen Elagua for a quick response. A round of applause for her, please. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, first of all, the gentleman that spoke about NSITF and the fact that the compensation should be looked at differently for different genders and that we should look into it. Well, maybe that can be a subject for discussion when I get back to the office, and we can talk about that. But I'm also very happy to hear that he also said that NSITF responded to the accident and the procedures, and the rightful thing was done. A lot of people don't even know what we do in NSITF. And basically, we do cater for accidents that happen in the workplace or in the course of work. When such accidents happen, we are compelled by law to pay the necessary or adequate compensation and even rehabilitate in such cases so that the worker can go back and be useful in the place of work. So, sir, we will definitely look into that, but I'm happy that it was a good report about NSITF. Now, the other points, that why are women not supporting each other? Well, that's a really good question. I know, I can only talk about my own experience coming in as the MD-CE of NSITF and all the trials that I've had to go through, some of them because I'm a woman. And I must have to say that a lot of the issues or problems are coming from a fellow woman like fellow women like myself. I don't really know why women don't want to support each other. Is it jealousy or is it what? I don't really know. Maybe we can answer the questions here. But one thing I had to do was, with all the trials, and I mean serious trials, sponsored activities against me, the most important thing that I had to do was, like I said in my presentation, is to keep focused, know your vision, and have that passion to drive that vision. And that's what I did, and I'm still doing, and try my very best to show the Nigerians that as I was appointed MDCE, that I am very capable of carrying out that task. So I don't know why it is that women don't like to support each other. I think that's a question that people can ask themselves. But I think it's very important that women do support each other. We pull together and celebrate each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And with this, we'll proceed to hear from the MD of the News Agency of Nigeria. Please help me welcome, he's here, Mr. Mohammed Ali, for a brief comment, a brief remark.
Well, thank you, Mr. MC. Let me say, should I start on the existing protocol? That's right. I guess I should start on them. Well, I'm glad that I'm among fellow colleagues, brethren. First time I'll be attending the FCT NIPR monthly meeting. So I'm delighted to be here. Well, when I'm asked to give a brief remark about this whole thing, first, I came in a little bit late. So I was at a loss. My first reaction was to decline, but then the president intervened, more like a directive, and you cannot decline a presidential order. So that's why I'm talking. I'm here behind the microphone. I look at the amazing Amazon here, the two previous speakers, and I must say, being a girl's dad, I'm surrounded by girls, by women, by this gender, and I respect them. And let me just share an anecdote to underscore how important and how powerful and how influential this particular agenda is. The man, like Ojuku said there, I have not seen him in ages, since I was, I think, crime editor in this day, back in the day when he was PPRO, then I was the crime and judicial editor of this day newspapers. We've now reunited on today, this moment. But I've followed his career progression since he left the police, in flying colors, I must say. One of the finest spokesmen we've had in the police force. To underscore how powerful and how resilient this gender is, there is this assembly of men, all men. And the challenge was, if you know you resist your wife at home, you don't follow her orders, stand on this side. It's a popular joke. I am sure some of us know this joke. I'm slightly digressing. I look at the chairman looking at his time. They say those who defy their wives stand on this row, and those who actually comply, respect, stand on this. And then one fella, very much in the mold of the chairman of the FCT chapter, smallish, petite, stand on the line of those who defy their wives. And then the other fella, very much in the mold of Mr. Pele here, twice his size, I must say, huge, then was standing on the other queue where men surely follow orders, take orders from the wife. And then this guy, like Stanley, looking, and the huge fella, look at Stanley, said, somebody like Stanley's size. Say, you mean you actually defy your wife? You mean you can actually defy her? The man say, yes, she asked me to stand behind this queue. Now, when you look at women, really, like one very popular motivational speaker has always said, give her a home, a house, she turns it into a home. You give her a seat, she gives you a baby. So be mindful, if you give her a ton of, with due respect, shit, what she's likely to give you back in return. So when you see women gather, celebrate them, and you know that any community that declines to take more than half of the population in developmental goals, that community or that society or that system is doomed. So I celebrate you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And now, distinguished professional colleagues, the microphone will go to the People's President, who will be concluding this. I don't know whether we'll hear a story about Stanley again, but there are different Stanleys anyway. By the way, some of us don't know that the chairman of this chapter is a fellow of the Institute. He's FNIPR. Please recognize him once again. He didn't ask me to do this. I'm doing it because it's my job. And now please recognize very specially the People's President, Dr. Ike Neliaku. I would say FFF NIPR.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I better go over there. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and your exco, fellows in the house, my wife, who is MNIPR. It's very important to make that point, that she's not just my wife, but she's a full-fledged member of the Institute. She started as an associate and then became a full member. And she's hoping to become a fellow someday. Our guest speaker and our guest of honor, distinguished colleagues, it's always a pleasure to be here because this is where I belong. I just want to make a few comments. Actually, I didn't plan to say a word. I just came to learn and to soak in from these distinguished teachers that have been teaching us since this evening. But since the chapter insisted, I have to obey because I'm a member of this chapter. I recall that when I was growing up and monitoring political development in Nigeria, President Shehu Shagari was in office. Chief Adisa Akinloye was the national chairman of the party. And when they come for meetings of the party, President Shagari will sit down there, Adisa Akinloye will sit up there. That was when politics had character. When the party leadership presided over activities of the party. Not today, when they now tell us that the president is the leader of the party. And that's why you can no longer, the party cannot call the president to order if he's not doing what is right. So, we are members of this chapter, and we have voted an executive to lead us. If you are president, you go and preside at the National Secretariat. When you come to your chapter, you listen to the person who leads you at the chapter level. That is what leadership is, and that's how it should be. It's important that we don't isolate women, and I would want to disagree here. For me, it's very important that we don't isolate women as a seasonal celebrities, that once in a year we have to come and celebrate women. I disagree. Women must be celebrated every day because they are a special breed. Creation could not be complete until God saw the need to create a helpmeet. If man was all that was required, why should God create a woman? So it's something that we must take in, that no man is complete without a woman. Therefore, men, you are nursing your own peril if you don't recognize that you must celebrate your wife, your sister, your mother, your daughter, whatever it means, or however you relate. We must celebrate our women every day, every time. I celebrate my wife, I celebrate my daughter, and I celebrate mothers around me, and that's how it should be. So women, please don't accept that it must be just one day, because after it has been celebrated one day, what happens to the rest of the 349 days? It's gone. Secondly, listening to NOB's presentation and the statistics that she gave us, 14 houses of assembly without a single woman in the house. So I was asking myself, so who is the chairman of House Committee on Women Affairs? It's incredible. So this man that is chairman House Committee on Women Affairs, how does he preside over such a committee? Who gives him skirt to wear? Who ties his gele? We must ask such questions, and this is where I expect women to lead very strong advocacy for men to understand the implications of what they are doing to themselves. Thirdly, the challenge that the political process has placed on our women must be a concern to all of us. In our system, only one role is reserved for the woman: national woman leader, state woman leader, local government woman leader, ward woman leader. And you see, because of that, it has been impossible for a woman to become national chairman of any party in Nigeria. Even the party that is formed in the bedroom, where a husband and a wife and a briefcase is all that the party has to show. Yet, the national chairman must be a man. Because the mentality of the society is that the best for the woman is to be a national women leader. What do they expect of the national women leader? To mobilize women. And there are two areas of mobilization. When they have events, mobilize women to come and dance. And then wear ashwebi when the men are visiting. The rest can be assumed. We must say no to such tendencies. In University of Jos, where NOB attended, because I listened to her, she talked about Naraguta Hostel. And then she talked about Babylon. And I asked myself, why should men stay in Naraguta Hostel? And then there is what we call Students' Village. And then women are in Babylon. And for those who know what Babylon means, we know that it's not a plus, but it's a minus. So it is in Babylon that women are located. So you can now understand why women in Babylon were treated the way they were treated, such that NOB may have been rejected from running the election. Nothing good comes from Babylon. But I'm glad that she disproved that. She stood her ground. And she showed very clearly that beyond Babylon, there is Zion. Finally, in all that we have said here, only one item can resolve this whole thing. And that is the principle of public relations. That is the only difference. Because you see, It is public relations that will teach you about stakeholder engagement. And that once there is disagreement, engage your stakeholders. So women, it is time to engage stakeholders. There are people who influence what is going on. You must engage them. Secondly, we talk about community relations, which again is a principle or a function of public relations. It is time for us to begin to engage deeper with our communities in a manner that it's not when we need them that we ask for them. There is a way we will engage people in our community such that they will be the ones to say, this person should go and represent us at so and so place because we trust her. There are so many factors. And I am challenging NED and challenging Madam MD of NSITF. NOB, and Barrister Alagwa. You need public relations. This is the only profession that God created to resolve all issues. Whatever it is, this is the only profession. And we have done it for so many other organizations and so many individuals. Because, first of all, we do what is called situational analysis. And we now develop what will guide you that you will follow to ensure that you get what you are looking for at every material point in time. So I want to encourage us to take advantage of this beautiful profession. Come closer to this profession, and all that we are looking for will be met because it has to be designed. I can tell you this, men don't change overnight. But you see, it is very easy to transform the mindset of a man through a strategic plan of action, through effective communication, through strategic communication. They will listen because it helps you to know what to say at the right time, when to say it, where to say it, and how to say it so that the right impact is made. That is how to approach and deal with men to get what we are looking for. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, my president. Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you. Very, very distinguished professional colleagues. The chairman is standing, and when the chairman stands, everything stops. Mr. Chairman, FNIPR.
Thank you very much. I wish to say that let us be all standing for Mr. President. Harvest has said it all. Give honor to whom is due. Because he's one of us, we should not take him for granted. The visionary leadership is widely acknowledged, and then we're happy with what he is doing. Let's give him a big round of applause as we take our seats, please.
Thank you very much. Moving on now, we will have a quick celebration of women, after which I'll later be calling one of our veteran women here to move the vote of thanks for our keynote speaker and our special guest of honor. To do this, we have the Welfare Committee of the FCT chapter, led by a woman. Like I told you, this chapter is led by very distinguished personalities. And by the way, we have, I think we have 4 fellows on the ESCO. This may be one of the only few executive platforms you'll find a retinue of fellows. And we have a council member in the person of the immediate past chairperson of the chapter. And she's council member, and she's after 40 years, she broke the ice and became our chapter chair, and her session brought this session right now. The vice chairman is also a fellow of the institute. He's wearing an Abeokuta cap, as you can see. A very, very distinguished fellow of the institute. He was also secretary to the committee of the program at Abeokuta. So most of the success you saw at the national program in Abeokuta, this man was behind it. That's why we are a special chapter. Omalicha is also a fellow as well. Please, if you can, give another round of applause to these distinguished members of ESCO. I want to invite the representative of the Welfare Committee, a very, very beautiful Madam Ganiat, to come up for what they want to do. They call it fastest fingers first. When women do stuff, you know, they do it in very special ways. And she told me earlier that they will make sure food is served, so most men will be eating and their fingers will not be fast enough. That's a secret for you men. I would welcome Mr. Austin Chijoke, and then I think Ganiat will also be working with him on this.
All right. The President of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, a very distinguished fellow Dr. Ikenele Akichukwu. We once again appreciate you for being in this forum. The chairman of the SCT chapter and his ESCO. Someone once told me that the color of love is blue, is purple, and the heart of woman is purplish too. And looking around us in this hall, you will quite agree with me that the entire hall is painted in purple. And for those of us who are he for she, you can see the purple in us. I'm a living witness too. When my wife wants to make love to me, it's very, very purplish. And so for few women and few guests, few attendees, every other person here is dressed in purple attire. Please, can we appreciate ourselves? We are celebrating the women today. The ESCO of the FCT chapter have did this necessary that we must not leave our women behind. And like our president said, our women must be celebrated every day. And we quite agree with that. So to add fun to what we are doing today, the members of the Standing Committee on Welfare have decided to add some fun to what we are doing today. And then we're going to do what we call fastest finger. And it's only for the women, only for the women. The men should not join, please. The women should not join, please. So we are going to, because we are celebrating women and it's a special day for them, we had different denominations of recharge cards here. Yeah, I said it. So please, Madam Gani Abalogun will be taking over from here, and we have to call the pin, and then for the fastest fingers, you have to be fast, and then be able to pick it up. Once you got the alert, please raise up your hand. Indicate by raising your hand, please, so that we can move to the next one. We have MTN, we have Glow, we have Airtel, we have Etisalat. Please, we'll cover all the networks. Please, can you appreciate yourselves? Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Please, the men, kindly face your food. This is for women only. Women, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. MTN. MTN. 1103 5028 339 55575. Are you ready? MTN 1103 5028 3339 55575. Any lucky person? Oh, congratulations. Yeah, she did. Next, Airtel. Airtel users, are you ready? 1166269093357128. Any lucky winner? I take it again. Airtel 1166269093357128.
Has anybody gotten that?
Wasn't that slow enough?
Can we have the Airtel subscribers here? Are they here this one? Airtel subscribers. Okay, mention that once again.
Airtel 1166269093357128.
If nobody's getting it, to another one.
Glow. Glow users. Oh, congratulations. No. Glow. Glow, are you ready? 46402-52277 44189. Glow. Any lucky winner?
Somebody has got that.
Yes, please. INEC, why are you repeating it?
We're asking you to.
She got it?
Because she's used to recording.
Oh. I take it again. Glow. 46402-52277 44189. Any lucky winner? Any fastest fingers? Okay, maybe somebody. Any lucky winner? No, I'm just. Then somebody must have loaded it.
Nobody has won yet.
Any lucky winner? Please check your phone.
It's a rigged. I've rigged it.
Someone has rigged it too. Next, Airtel. Airtel users 1374-8180-2264-6366. Airtel 1374-8180-2264-6366. Again? Airtel. Like 8 or 7. Okay, yeah. No, Airtel, not Airtel. I don't know the code, yo. Oh. Okay, congratulations.
Who
Somebody.
Okay. Let's finish. You have to come back.
Just say it.
Okay. We'll have a pause now. I'll continue later.
Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. After the interlude. Yeah, this is the part of the script where you take your seat. You should have been a woman, not a man. He's Bob. Yeah, he's on behalf of Aisha Gambari, who actually is the chairman. So we can say he's Bob Chijoke, right? Okay. So distinguished professional colleagues, at this point, the chapter wants to specially recognize and honor some recently inducted distinguished fellows of the Institute. To do this, I want to invite up here the chairman of the highest and strongest chapter in Nigeria, NIPR, FCT chapter. Help me welcome distinguished fellow Stanley Ogadigo to the front of the podium. To support him, I want to invite our distinguished vice chair, a very distinguished fellow Edward Adebanjo, to stand with him, and our distinguished council member and immediate past chair, very, very distinguished council member, fellow Hajia Miriam Sanusi, only her 3-in-1 women. Please welcome her with a round of applause. And government nominee at that. So we'll begin as we invite first on the list She was formerly known as MNIPR. She's an embodiment of grace. And she is particularly blessed to be what we call, we call it what? Omoluabi NIPR. Boldly Omoluabi. Help me welcome distinguished newly minted fellow Grace Zamani. Next person is that Omoluabi whose grace spreads across the east, south, west, northern Nigeria. She is filled with joy, and that's why we call her Omoluabi Ayola Grace. Please welcome her. Next is another newly minted fellow, Muazu Yusuf. Very, very distinguished fellow, Dr. Muazu Yusuf. Two-star he is. There he comes. Next, we welcome a very distinguished woman who's blazing the trail for women at INEC. Please help me welcome distinguished fellow Rose Oreran Anthony.
I will also remark here that just like the guest of honor, she has some stay in London. And then when the president visited recently, I listened to her very clearly and I saw the passion with which she spoke. Today, or in Abeokuta, she was made a distinguished fellow of the Institute. On behalf of the chapter, your chapter, that is the first among equals, we want to very respectfully bestow on you this badge of honor in recognition of your passion for the Institute.
Congratulations to you. If you know about football, when you play the Champions League, when you get to the final, you bring up the finalists. This is the newly minted honorary distinguished fellow of the Institute. He is a finalist when we talk about this particular Champions League. Distinguished honorary fellow, Dr. Jake Epele. Please welcome him, he for she.
The president, distinguished gentlemen and ladies on the high table, Jack Epele no be today. We have known for a long time. Some of you may not know. And he has been a man of character and principle. I am very glad, and I'm still glad, that he made it to the prestigious category of honorary fellow of the Institute. Well, for those of us who are not members of the NIPR, we bestow this honor on those who have done so greatly on the economy, in the issues of society and the Institute. And then for those of us who are even of the Institute, the first president, we can call the founder of the NIPR, Dr. Sam Epele, is his uncle. So coincidentally, I say coincidentally because the honor was not given to him because the uncle was the founder. He merited it, he worked very hard, and today we are glad that you are of the FCT extraction. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Executive Committee and the entire members of the Numero Uno chapter, we wish to hang on your very wonderful neck this prestigious badge of honor. Congratulations.
The champions, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. We'll take photograph. We ask all the inductees newly and
sorry, before we continue.
Okay.
You know we have somebody who is sharing chapter, but after this night he will decide. And I know that his decision is to transfer his membership to FCT.
To FCT.
So now it's half FCT, half Lagos. But in our FCT chapter, we are very generous and we do things differently. Amaka, let me have another badge of honor. Let us invite a distinguished fellow Ashibogu to please come forward.
Very distinguished fellow Achibogu comes forward. At Abeokuta, he probably heard when I announced that it's very easy to join the FCT, just attend our meeting, and he's done that. I will make sure the Lagos people are aware that they've lost one member.
So, my dear brother and friend, on behalf of the FCT Executive Committee and the entire FCT chapter, we want to sincerely welcome you home and then bestow on you this badge of honor as a sign of our appreciation to your hard work of defending your fellowship.
Thank you very much, distinguished fellow. All fellows.
Why the pictures? I beg,
pictures. Please spread across.
Let's have the spread.
Yes.
I want to just quickly remark here that today's meeting, while we were planning, one of these fellows that you are seeing here, the name withheld, also called the chairman's office and say, this you are preparing, how can we come in? I say, I don't understand. He continued and said, how can we come in? What is the cost and what is the budget, the venue? I just mistakenly gave a very moderate and what do I call it? Budget, modest exactly. Modest budget of 800,000, thinking that the man will be afraid. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, after 30 minutes of that discussion, I saw not a token again, an alert of 800,000. And then he called to say, I want to bankroll the whole thing. So I was thinking in my mind, I would have made it 1.5. But it's not also good to be greedy. Exactly. So I really want to appreciate him and then appreciate the entire fellows. And I want to tell us that whatever we are spending today, a budget of 800,000, somebody amongst us here has taken the bill. And then the PRO has also pleaded with me to announce that in the course of preparing, when they came to see the arrangement, they called the chairman and said, no, this should go beyond the meat pie. There must be a buffet. And I asked them the cost. And I said, it's not originally put in the bill. They said, no problem. We can vouch for our members. Beyond the fellows, there are other members who can do it. So we have incurred additional, I have sourced additional source of 600,000, right? Talkman, where are you?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
So I just want to put this.
600,000.
Yes, maybe before the close of this event, somebody will also approach the chairman. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Turn to your neighbor and say, please approach the chair.
Our money is calling.
Approach the chair. Fellow money, please approach the chair. 600,000.
Thank you very much.
We invite our distinguished president to please do us the honor of joining for this photograph. All members of ESCO, fellow Malicha, please do us the honor. Very distinguished members of ESCO, Sekjen Amaka, distinguished members of ESCO, everyone, Aisha, and everyone, please join for this one. We also invited 2 guest speakers to please come and join us. And I've been told because it's Women's Day, everybody is pointing. First Lady, join us. Please, First Lady, we honorably invite you with our keynote speaker and our guest speaker at the center. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, you say we shouldn't go too far. Good like this? Okay. So what you hear right now is the women anthem. Raise the volume louder, shall we?
Around the world and never cease to sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. Women can't be silent when all
General S.K. Usman, for security reasons, is invited to join this photograph. General S.K. Usman, for security reasons. The MD of NAN is also invited for news reasons to join this photograph. General, why did you target me? Okay. Equality, development, and peace. Frank, are we good? All right. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Thank you. On behalf of the people newly decorated, we'll give a minute to distinguished honorary fellow Jake Epele to speak.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I will gladly say that I have become not an honorary member, but a member of this chapter. Whatever dues that I have to pay, let me pay. Secondly, thank you, Mr. President. You have always been a supporter of inclusion. But I want to thank the council and all the committees that ensured the honor of those of us who got it without much hard work and those of us who got it by going through all the process. But I want to finally say, sir, Maz, that NIPR practice has gone from carrying bag and following the chief executive, going to the airport and waiting for them, being just a spokesperson, to a scientific method of ensuring that effective and efficient communication goes to the people that is targeted and comes back with a feedback. So I want to say congratulations that you're living in the time that this profession have become very scientific. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. We always celebrate our birthdays for the month, and I believe we're celebrating a combination of March and April. But specifically, we want to celebrate Madam very distinguished fellow Rose Oriara Anthony, because today, particularly, I'm told, is her birthday. And so we want to celebrate her specially. Please, I invite her to step forward. As we celebrate her, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. I'm also told that we have Hajia Hadiza of Nipr, and today is also her birthday, so we'll add her to this celebration. Please come forward. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. So you proceed to the table there for the special cake before we come to March and April birthday celebrants. After this, we'll take all birthday celebrants March and April, and that includes my humble self. Yes, I was born in April. Hajia is March. You know, we March and April people, we are very special. You march into the April, and April leads you along. Happy birthday to you. So they cut their special cake, and afterwards we will invite the others. How do we celebrate this cake cutting? We spell N-I-P-R. Happy birthday to you. Now we invite all April.
Sorry, before we go forward, on behalf of the chapter, Madam Rose, if you look at that cake, your name is there, so that goes home with you. And then the
That's
chapter,
special.
yes, that is very special. And special because she left everything she was supposed to do today to be here. So since you have deemed it necessary to be with us, we also need to honor you. Then for that of fellow Hadiza, before you get to your house, your cake is already in your house. We are doing this just for today, so nobody should come tomorrow and say, I have personal cakes. So the last one will now be for the general. So Tokwe, you can continue.
My chair, sir, to avoid people saying that we rigged this election because INEC is involved, when it comes to my birthday next year, I'm not saying this on the mic, just between you and I, we have to celebrate mine specially. Please give them a round of applause. We'll now invite all March and April celebrants quickly to step forward and join the celebrants over there for a special photograph. All March and April celebrants. And while this is on, we'll get ready to invite our very, very special veteran, Antimoji Makojola, for votes of thanks. All March and April celebrants, take your position. That's true. March and April. March and April celebrants, happy birthday to you. Sing to us. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to us. For they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows. They are jolly good fellows. And so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us, for they are jolly good fellows, they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows, and so say all of us. Place your hands on the cake, just stretch your hand. And we'll say hip, 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 hooray! Louder, hip, 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 hooray! Use fellow Archibald's voice in two-star general, hip, 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 hooray! I hope I will not be arrested after this. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll now very quickly invite to move the vote of thanks, Nigerian veteran journalist and broadcaster, very distinguished member of the Institute, and Omoluabi par excellence, very distinguished Moji Makojuola. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tope. Our president, dynamic, marvelous, wonderful in every way. The chair of this wonderful numero uno chapter of the NIPR, council members, fellows, members, and all very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. When you know a man like Stanley and who doesn't sleep, the name I have given him is Ororo No De Sleep. Because he has a way of conscripting one to do stuff. When he called me that I'll be moving the vote of thanks, I said to him, I'd rather like to be quiet so that I can enjoy the mood of the day. However, it is not in the spirit of being boldly public relations to say no, to, especially when you know you can deliver on it. So thank you for asking me. Boldly public relations. That's why we're here. And that's living it. And that's why when we get together, we not only educate, we also get educated ourselves. And that's what our speakers today have done. When I was listening to NSITF MD, I'll call her Sister Maureen, I said, these are the kind of women we want. These are the kind of people who will be bold to say yes when it should be yes and no when it should be no. I salute your courage and I wish you the best and thank you immensely for being part of our history in Abuja. What do I say about a sister? That we have shared the trenches. She has been bedless. At a point, we have to really go around to know where the then military government had taken her to. It's not about life. It's about what you can do to make life meaningful. And that's what Ene Obi represents. Ene, thank you. Thank you on behalf of all of us. Thank you for the tears that we've shared. Thank you for the rappers that we are sharing. Thank you also for making it possible for men here. I was looking at faces, and when she was talking about period, I thought the men were going to run away from the room, but they stayed on. Thank you for making life their sense of where women should be. We are deconstructing to reconstruct. I want to also salute everyone that has been here for being part of this. The MD News Agency of Nigeria, the NTA family, led by Ayo Adewoyi, who is the executive director. I'd just like to remind us a little about our president and why we're lucky to have him here in the Abuja chapter. If you've worked as a spokesperson, as a special advisor to one of the most spectacular, I would say one of the strongest first ladies of this great country, then you'd have no choice but to be the best president. And so we thank God for Dr. Ike's life. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for bringing success and a dynamic change to NIPR. Some of us were so docile being part of NIPR until Dr. Ike came around. Thank you for lighting the path for greatness. May the good Lord continue to enlarge your coast and wisdom. In ending this vote of thanks, I'd like to just use the last words on the women anthem. And we don't take our anthem for joke. Please inquire, I beg that the anthem should be taken and will respectfully stand up to it at the end of this vote of thanks. But the word to take home is equality, development, and peace. Until all this reign, we might not have the Nigeria of our dream. And my dream and my aspiration is that we will have this. So on behalf of all of us, say something nice to somebody. Say thank you to somebody. Make Nigeria a better place. God bless you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Give her another round of applause. As requested, we'll take the women anthem as soon as we're done. If you permit, let's move it to as soon as we're done, which is in a bit. Right now, the chair has directed that the recharge cards be distributed to women alone. Women alone. So the welfare committee, please distribute the recharge cards to women as we now come to the conclusion. With this, quickly, we want to recognize new members and friends who have joined us, intending members, new members who are here. Please, if you are, raise your hand or stand for recognition. Please stand for recognition. Intending members, new members, thank you for coming. Stand for recognition. Transfer members are also welcome. And now, I told you it was going to happen, and it's happened already. From the trenches to NIPR. Where you have a trenches general in NIPR, NIPR received trenches touch. Thank you very much. A round of applause for them. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Mr. Uzo is the Executive Admin Secretary and Senior Admin Secretary. He will be, please, Mr. Uzo, wave your hand. He will be available to take your inquiries and answer your question. And Senior Admin Secretary, remember that the honorary fellow has requested for dues. The dues of the fellow, I think Mr. Chair should be, especially his honorary, it has to be honorary due. Am I right, fellow Ine? Thank you very much. With this, I hand over to Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, professional colleagues. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tokpe. The President, my executive committee members, let me at this point stand. I want to very profoundly thank the President for finding time to be here with us. And not just the President, but with his wife. I thank them most sincerely because they have added value to what we do. For those of you who may not know, today is a special day. That is why this meeting is taking long. Otherwise, our meetings are actually 1 hour to 1.5 hours. And from next meeting of May, please, it's a new dawn at the National NIPR. It's also a new dawn for the chapter in terms of time management. So for the month of May's meeting, the last Wednesday of the month, please, our 4:30 is 4:30. Once we come at 4:30, we start the meeting immediately. Just to announce before we dismiss, the chapter, we have projects that we intended to bring in today's meeting, but we have suspended till next meeting. As we speak, for us to have a befitting place of meeting, just like this place, we have to take some certain decisions to avoid inflationary crisis. So as of 2 days ago, we signed up on this venue for the whole of this year. Why we are clapping? I want to say that the chairman on your mandate sourced for the funding. But it's going to be good at the end of the day because we are going to run away from inflation. Now the venue we use at the ground floor, because of one or two issues we wanted to retain, but we could not make our payment until 2 days ago. Before we came, other organizations have taken. But again, whatever happens to a man has God's mark on it. So by the time they received our payment 2 days ago, they threatened to return the money, but we also used our public relations, diplomacy, and strategy, and then came to a point that they will now send us to this place, which is even a better place. So let's clap for our professional skills that has done that for us. So please, the next project we want to embark on is the project of a befitting office space for the chapter. As we speak, we are in Zone 2. Of course, I must appreciate the effort of my predecessors who even found it necessary to have an office. Most chapters of the nation do not even have where they keep their admin staff, and most do not even have. But for FCT and FCT of 2024, we must have a befitting office space. That we are also working very, very hard. And then we have also approached this facility, and we have some spaces. At Senior Admin Sec, I think the last report I received is that it's going to cost us how many millions? 3.54 million thereabout. Then we'll furnish it. Our intention is that we are going to equip and furnish our office and then invite Mr. President to come and commission it so that the chapter members can transact with us very, very professionally. Then the next project is project of ICT. If you were in Abeokuta, the president emphasized the need for digitization of all processes. The FCT as number one must also remain number one. Before now, we have engaged some firms, and they are already at work. Now that the president has also mentioned it, it's now what we call a mass communication reinforcement theory. So we are going to double our speed to ensure that our website is revamped, interactive, functional, and such that when you go there, you will love to be a member of the FCT chapter. That again will cost us some millions of naira. More importantly, by next week or thereabout, we may be constituting and then inaugurating different committees that would have done today, but for want of time. We will need a committee for special projects and partnerships. We will want to embark on serious and impactful CSR projects. We'll have to inaugurate a committee for the Diamond celebration for the Institute at 60, being celebrated at 61. It's the whole of June that the Institute is doing that. And every chapter of the Federation will key into that project and be doing certain number of programs before it will culminate into the final day on the 27th or 28th, but the date will be communicated here in Abuja. So that is also a committee that is going to work very, very hard. So we are going to be inaugurating committees, and please, if you are contacted, do not say no. One man cannot do it alone. It's a joint responsibility, and together we can take FCT chapter to the next level. Now at Abeokuta, we launched or unveiled the register of members. This register of members is the second after 60 years of the Institute. It's one of the projects that the president and this council decided to embark on. What is the reason for this? The essence is to have a reference point. It's also a kind of strategy to fighting quackery in the system. Organizations can now make reference to this book to know if whoever they want to appoint as public relations officer or reputation manager of that organization is here or not. And if the person is not, I'm afraid he may not be appointed. So the president and the council have done this to ensure that if we begin our clamp down on quacks, no organization will say that they do not know. For those of us who are buying already, the official price that the institute has pegged it is 5,000. But just like the president, before he became the president, he will always pay his chapter dues through his national subscriptions through the chapter secretariat. The reason is simple. The chapter has a percentage, and he wouldn't want the chapter to lose that. So he's a chapter man. So my admin secretary has reported, and I take responsibility, that this has been sold for 7,000, 2,000 be left for the chapter for one or two things that he could afford. So please, if you are a patriotic member of the FCT chapter, please add the 2,000 naira and buy this at the rate of 7,000 naira. Please, it's very, very rich. Check if your name is there. And then we keep updating in the event that you are not here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on the final note, I want to very profoundly thank our keynote speaker for today. I tell you that at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., I was in constant touch with NAOB. And there was never a time she told me, Mr. Chairman, this is too late or too, no. She will read the message, she will respond. So I want to say that this is the kind of leaders we are looking for. Thank you very much, madam. Again, some persons, you give them notice, they will tell you that the notice is too short. I think it was 3-4 days to this event that I contacted her. In fact, she was actually the one that called me back when she missed my call. And I discussed this with her. She never for once told me that, why this short notice? And that is also a way to know those who have substance. Let's give her a big round of applause. She has come today and she has delivered. Another Amazon in the house, the MD of NSITF, the same way. In fact, it was even yesterday night that we struck the deal. So it was not as if she was giving 1 month or 3 months notice. And she agreed to be here. And today, we okay, thank you very much. And it's also good that he spoke at this time. This man has been recently promoted to a very high rank in correctional service. Let's give Harvest a big round of applause. And Harvest is also part of those we are celebrating today. At least after this project, if you are using MTN, the chairman will send you 2,000 naira recharge card free. Yes. So thank you for coming up at this point. So thank you very much, the MD of NSITF. I really, really appreciate this. And like Mojima Konjola said, this is the kind of women we are looking for. When our council member Sanusi was talking to me about women voting for women and all that, we were discussing here. What we want in women is not all about, no, let's push them forward because they are women. No. We are looking for women of substance, women of character, women of integrity, women that are industrious, and the women that recognizes the value of hard work and integrity. And in 2 of them today, I want to respectfully say that we have everything we have mentioned in both of them. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. And thank you, the First Lady, for always supporting our president. Now, the president is all over the country doing well. It's because somebody somewhere is doing what she needs to do, and she's doing it professionally. Let's give Madam Ogeneliaku a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. The last but not the least, our honorary fellow, we appreciate you. When I called Jack Epele a few days ago, 2-3 days ago, he was so excited and he asked me, Chairman, what do you want me to wear? Do you want me to wear my honorary fellowship gown? I said, okay, I will get back to you. Because why I was saying it is because I needed clarification from the president. So this morning I called him to say, Oga, we have reserved that to another event, but today if you have not left your house, come with your medallion. So today is here, and I know that he has a presentation at 4 to 6, but he had to take permission to do his presentation before coming here, and he's here right on time. Let's give him a big round of applause. And then our dear INEC secretary to the INEC, I cannot thank her enough. Some of us at that level will also feel that, oh, we are too big for this. From the day we met her in the office and she spoke passionately about public relations and her experience at the UK and in INEC, I knew that she was going somewhere. Today we are very glad to say that she went through the rigors of defending thesis to become a fellow of the institute. Madam, I want to say that the hard road that you pass is also going to enable you to see the value in the profession. And if I have the mandate of my ESCO, we are looking forward to you being one of the pillars of the FCT chapter. And the last but not the least, I want to very much appreciate the MD of NAN. I called him, I think Harvest permit me to say, we were doing interaction at about 1 a.m. And I told him that today is our meeting and he should come. And lo and behold, he told me count him in, and he was here to honor us. Let's clap hands for Mr. Mohammed Ali in absentia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for those who have sponsored this event, I cannot thank you enough. Our prayer is that God will continue to enrich you and bless the work of your hands through Christ our Lord. Amen. Then on a very thankful note, we want to also recognize Dr. Peter Oyeneye, who also had a similar event last 2 weeks or thereabouts to honor most members of the chapter. Thank you very much. And then we want to also appreciate those. Mrs. Abaji was one of those that was honored. So thank you very much for honoring them. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on this note, yes, last but not the least, our celebrating our stars. We did it once. Mr. Sadiq is no longer here. He was part of those that initiated it, and Dr. Ike Neliako, the today president of the NIPR, was part of it. So the chapter wants to resuscitate this very particular project. So by September or thereabout, we are going to announce we need to really celebrate those who have been the pillars of NIPR FCT chapter that has made us what we are today. Why this announcement is important is that in that list of Hall of Fame by September, if you have not done anything, you have the opportunity. Then when we were discussing it at the executive committee meeting on Sunday night, somebody said that, how can somebody, I said no. If, for example, you are just joining us and you're able to deliver on serious key projects, of course, I will personally, as the chairman, nominate you for that celebration. And for those who have done very well in the past, whether financial, your attendance and quality participation, there's going to be a criteria that we are going to use to celebrate those who two persons for adjournment, move motion for adjournment, then we close.
Secgen.
Okay.
So
please.
the microphone will come to you. Arambe. Tiwon Feda, you second.
Thank you very much. My president, the wife of the president, my venerable chairman, members of the Executive Council, distinguished fellows in the House, members of the Council, distinguished professional colleagues. My name is A.R.A. Adenioye. I hereby move the motion at this point. In the absence of any other item for discussion, I hereby move the motion for the adjournment of today's meeting till next month when we shall meet again.
Ending of the month.
Oh,
Last Wednesday.
till the next.
Yes.
Thank you. I so moved.
Okay, please, who is seconding?
I'm told the lady should second, Oga, except you are a she.
I, Chinwobuka, second emotion. Fellow FNIPR, FCT chapter, move a motion, second emotion for the adjournment of this meeting till the end of this month. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The secretary just drew my attention to something. The last Wednesday of this month is again a public holiday. What do we do? Do we do it on Tuesday, a day before it, or we do it on the Democracy Day?
Okay.
Tuesday or on Wednesday? Okay, fine. We take our normal day. Whether government is going to do anything or not, we'll come here and do our meeting, please.
Okay.
Wednesday remains. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will be closing. We rise for the second verse of the national anthem, after which we'll sing the women anthem, and then we'll be good to go. Second verse of the national anthem as prayer. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice reigns. We take the women anthem. There's cake for everyone. Be part of it.
All around the world, women are longing to be free.
It's on your screen.
No longer in the shadows, forced to stay behind, but side by side in true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere.
Quality development. Without the music now we sing, so sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. That's not where the story ends. Sing for men too. Good night, everybody, and bye for now.
Tope, announce the Aisha's wedding.
Yeah, we have the wedding of our very, very elegant Aisha. May 18, it holds on the 18th of May. Aisha Gambari will send the invitation. It's holding on the 18th of May, and we expect a harvest of all members of the NIPR.
So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. So sing a song.
cake for everyone. If you're a lover of cake like I am, taste it.
Are you a STEM professional and are looking to